I felt passionately about using entertainment as a primary vehicle for change in hemophilia and starting with young people.
When I was in the middle of training for my Everest climb, I knew that it was going to be bigger than just reaching the top. I wanted it to be something that would resonate and inspire people with bleeding disorders so that they could see that it was possible. And just as important, that it wasn't impossible. That's when I reached out to Patrick James Lynch at Believe Limited. I knew that his passion was telling stories and bringing a human element to the rare diseases of the world. It was with him that I ended up making the documentary Bombardier Blood, and also this very podcast. I wanted to do it because I knew this story was important. But just as important as completing that story was telling it and sharing it. Because what is a story if no one can hear it? My name is Chris Bombardier, and I'm a mountaineer with hemophilia. From 2011 to 2018, I successfully climbed 7 summits, the tallest mountain on each of the 7 continents. But I'm not the only one with a story to tell. This season, we're talking with inspirational people all over the world who've navigated their own bleeding disorders and embraced who they really are. Now they're on their own journeys to achieve what many have called impossible. This is the Final Summit Season 3, Climbing Your Own Mountain. On today's episode, we're talking about the power of story and all the human imperfections that come with it.
This next segment is brought to you by Genentech. Being the caregiver of someone with hemophilia can be hard, but know that you are not alone. Genentech has several resources for navigating hemophilia, including stories from other members in the community. In the words of Miranda, a mother of twin boys with hemophilia, since connecting with other hemophilia families and educating ourselves had been so helpful, we made a point of getting involved with the larger community and attended conferences whenever we could. To hear more about Miranda and others in the hemophilia community, please visit www.caregiversupport.com.
Hi, I am Patrick James Lynch. I am 38 years old. I have severe hemophilia A and a caregiver of a child with mild hemophilia A. I don't have a distinctive incident, so to speak, where hemophilia as a child was sort of brought to the forefront of my awareness in a particular way. But when you ask that, what comes to mind right away are meetings with the school nurse before school would start, and lots of long conversation with my mom, and being at school before everybody else at the beginning of the year and having to lay out, some ground rules. Then of course, gym class was also a regular reminder that I'm a little different. I did get to wear jewelry, which everybody else had to take their jewelry off. I got to wear a bracelet, sometimes had to tie it or tape it down, but still I was like, all right, well, that's something.
At the age of 1.5 years, I diagnosed with hemophilia. Hi, my name is Chetan Motiwaras. I am from India, Mumbai. I belong to Hemophilia Society, Mumbai chapter. I'm a registered member over there. My age is 41 years and I am doing video editing, freelance video editing from past 12 years.
12 years, wow. Has it been that long? That's amazing. Do you remember when you were diagnosed and what that felt like? Or were you too young to remember?
That's some little bit memory I have, that I used to walk and I fall down and my knees are swelling. That was the first incident my mother shared with me.
The first thing though, as a kid, that made it clear, oh, okay, this is more than just different. This can be scary. Was we had taken a trip, I think, down to Florida from New York. And as I recall, it was a multi-leg, a few flights. So maybe the up-down had something to do with it. But I started peeing blood. I had blood in my urine. And, I thought that was weird. But my mom thought it was scary. And we went to the ER, and the way the clinicians responded was urgent. And with a sense of, I felt a little bit of fear from them. But it was clear that, okay, hemophilia is more than just going to school early at the start of the year.
When I was a child, my father and mother does not know how to treat me due to lack of awareness in India about hemophilia. They don't know how to treat me. They just go to hospital and they execute what the doctor says. Even I am not aware about the hemophilia. I am saying about the 1985, 1984, 1987 things. So there was a plasma. Plasma, I used to get plasma that time. So yeah, my parents are treating me very well. They are treating me very well. They take good care of myself.
Yeah. Did they try any other remedies for hemophilia besides going to the hospital? I know in parts of India, people try different kinds of medicine and different practices to treat it. Did they try anything like that when you were younger?
No, no, like that, because my parents, they just believe in the doctors and we are following what the doctor says. So simply no other medicines, no homeopathic or Ayurvedic thing I used. I missed I was I missed my exam also. In 8th standard, I haven't given my final exam. For that, I have to miss my 1 year.
So you had to
And
redo
honestly,
eighth year. Yeah.
yeah, even though when there is a any trip picnic, even though I want to go, but just because of this hemophilia, my parents not allowing me to go. Even though my teachers also says don't bring him, though because we don't want to take this responsibility because they also not aware about the hemophilia, so they are also a little bit scared.
How did that make you feel as a child with hemophilia, not being able to go to those picnics and missing school because of bleeds?
I feel really sad. Honestly, I feel sad, and I used to keep saying, God, okay, why I have this kind of bleeding disorder? And I always cried. One of like my friends are going out in the school picnic and a tuition picnic, but I am at home only. Because I on that time particular I was thinking, okay, instead of living my life, why should I not getting that? So it's really tough time for me because my all the friends are going out and at home only.
How did you manage to work through those feelings of feeling sad and lonely? What kept you motivated to keep going forward?
My mom, because my mom honestly strive hard for me. My father died at the age of when I was in 9. After that, my mother did lots of hard work to grow me and my sister. So I want to give better life to her, and that one thing keep me motivated.
So I was born with severe hemophilia A. We did not know in my family to be on the lookout for that, as is the case with many in my line. It was a genetic mutation that started with my mom. And because I was crawling around and bruising at what my mom perceived to be an abnormal rate, that led her to investigate. And as is commonly the story, it wasn't the first doctor. She brought us to our pediatrician. Don't know if it was the second, but it didn't take too long before someone gave us the blood test. And yeah, he has severe hemophilia A. And then they knew by the time my brother was born to be on the lookout. So in my line, it started with me. And then we were aware to, keep our guard up for Adam's birth.
My mom used to go in different charity institute to bring donation for my plasma and everything. So we did like that. And it's really tough time for my mom because here in Mumbai, she has to go early in the morning to give that documentation. And after a week or 15 days, she have to go again and check whether I got the donation or not. So she did lots of things to bring me up.
Wow. I think hemophilia moms are very special people.
And Chris, what in like in India, I must say, if I'm not wrong, in Mumbai, there is a no specification donation for hemophilia. People are willing to pay donation to cancers, heart surgery, but they don't want to help largely to hemophilic people because they keep thinking, "Arey, aapko to," like they keep saying that after one bleed, we will get another bleed. Then why should we pay again and again to you?
A lot of elementary school felt like survival. I was missing a lot. I was behind a lot. We moved around a little bit. Stuff at home with mom and dad was always acrimonious. Mom working nights as a nurse. Like there was just so much turbulence that I, at a young age, felt like I needed to do what I needed to do to just feel safe and secure and survive. So I developed creative and imaginative and fantastical skills, and I buried myself in books, and I watched movies and TV shows and thought about the stories and the characters and the colors and what was happening. And I did anything I could with my mind to escape my body and my circumstances. And I think it set me up well for when I did eventually discover the creative arts as something that I could not only put time into that made me feel whole and connected and like I had found my tribe, but that could actually become a professional path to pursue.
traveling the world with Save One Life is that I get to meet new people and hear their stories. What got them here? What drives them to tomorrow? Too often, those of us with rare diseases are pigeonholed into being a statistic, a number. But we're more than that. Each of us has a very human story, complete with triumphs and setbacks. And yes, we're dealing with medicine, so the numbers and the science is definitely important. But we never want that to overshadow the human stories at the heart of it.
When you were younger, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up? What was your goal to be as like a profession when you were an adult?
I want to become a dancer.
A dancer, yes.
Yeah, honestly, I'm saying that. That's why I'm entering into this film industry. I want to become a dancer.
Okay, I love that you wanted to be a dancer. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't want to become a pilot or doctor. I just want to become a dancer.
I started in musicals, and I can sing okay, but not like a professional musical theater person okay, and I can't dance. So I knew that wasn't gonna be my path. So I knew my physical restrictions as a dancer weren't gonna be, neither here nor there.
At the till 11, 12, I can dance. I did so many stage performance also. But after 12th, I have started bleeding. Like my knee is getting injured so many times. So I gradually move out of that dancing.
When you started thinking like maybe dancing isn't the right way, but you've turned your kind of attention now to the video side of production.
Yeah.
What made you become interested in that aspect, video editing and production?
I want to share one incident. Like there was a dance number I was there. I didn't understand the language of why I made close shots. Okay. Then director each and every time said okay shots. Then again they're performing on the same shot and same moves. And so why keep there doing same and same thing and director saying okay and okay? Then I asked one of the makeup man, and what is this error? They keep saying okay and they're performing on the same thing. So after there's a better then after some time they will do on edit. Then that point I clicked, no, I want to become an editor. That was the point. I want to become an editor. I said I will do the edit. Then I enrolled myself in the Z Institute of Media Arts. It's called Zima.
I was aware that, okay, I went to theater school and I was working mostly in theater for the beginning of my career. And it is, curtain goes up, the show must go on. You have to keep going. One of the early jobs that I had was this big new play festival, the Humana Play Festival, big deal festival every year. I was playing the title character in the main stage play of the festival, but it was a character who had some kind of undiagnosed mental condition and would go into these fits of rage and throw himself around, and he wore a football helmet and smashed into things, and this is me. So, I was aware as I was coming up the ranks, so to speak, that, okay, there were going to be physical limitations and challenges that to look at me from afar, to hang out with me in a rehearsal hall, might not know anything, but there's some true challenges there. So I was aware of that, but honestly, more so, the challenge was the professional piece and health insurance.
I'm not doubted myself, but there is being a freelancer, one thing I got to know, if I have a client base, proper client base, then I can survive. Okay. And after the corona, there is a lots of shift in editing. Like after corona 2019, my work is lots of affected, and that the OTT things comes, it will really affected my work. Hardly get work. Like project, I got the project for 3 to 4 months, and we don't know what I will get next. So after 3 to 4 months, I have to wait next 3 to 4 months. When will I get my next project? So that's scared because I have two family. I have to take care of my mom. She's also 70 years old, and if I'm not earning a proper, then it's really tough for me. Then that time I have my bilateral knee replacement. Okay, I did my both the knee replacement because I couldn't walk. For 2004 to 7, I couldn't walk. I was a bedridden for almost 3.5 years. I couldn't stand also. So I was keep thinking, now I'm 40, see, still 4 to 5 years I'll get work. But what if I didn't get work after 50? Then who can take care of myself or my mom? So that point of time I have to think to shift in other area due to that scaredness and not the security of my work.
But the arts, for all they did for me spiritually and emotionally, they didn't do anything for that health insurance part. And so that was pretty scary. And for the first few years, I was able to get insurance through the Actors Equity Union for a minute. Another year, I missed it by like 1 week, which was one of the many signs that, like, all right, the career of an actor, quite frankly, stinks and is not the one I want to pursue. Even if I love the art, even if I love the practice and all of that, the career is the artifice that I can't handle, or the industry, maybe better yet. So that was kind of scary, but then, cobbled it together long enough. And then when the Affordable Care Act took effect, that is what enabled me to have the comfort and the risk tolerance to ultimately start Believe Limited. There would be no Believe Limited were it not for the Affordable Care Act. Flat out, hands down, no doubt about it.
In India, in Bollywood, in my place, I must say that people are budget cutters. They have very less budget. Okay. If earlier I got this, we are talking on iMac, right? Which I got from Save One Life. And I'm telling you why this iMac is important for me. Before I don't have my iMac, I got the independent projects. Okay. But they have one demand. If you have your system, you will give you work because the studio cost is very high over here, 7,000 K per day. They don't want to give those editor work who doesn't have like their own setup. So I lost my lots of project. But whenever after getting this iMac, honestly I must say I work a lot, and that my confidence is increases. Like I did one independent documentary on my this iMac. I did two web series on my iMac. One of is now going to be released in Netflix soon in this November. I was associate editor and entire film this done on my iMac only, which I got from Save One Life. So almost so many things, small, big, whatever project. Now I'm confident to get work. I crack my deal just because I am confident that I have my machine.
Amazing. I love hearing that, and I'm glad that Save One Life was able to support you in a little way and watch how you've taken that little bit of support and made a amazing career out of it.
Now that little bit of support helped me in really big way, honestly.
Everything I've done in my career could not have happened were it not for the Affordable Care Act. Hands down, no doubt about it.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think the Affordable Care Act did that for a lot of people with chronic medical conditions, like myself included, feeling like I could take a risk stepping away from the job in science that provided health insurance, and pursuing the career in more adventurous kind of outlets never would have happened without Affordable Care Act and opening up the idea that we could get health insurance from different avenues, right? Which I think is game changing, So, Believe Limited started. You really were focused a lot on, bleeding disorder and hemophilia awareness and education when it first started. What really drew you into, more, creating content and educational things for people with bleeding disorders?
I won't assume all listeners know that my brother was also born with hemophilia, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, a couple years after me, and sadly passed away when he was 18 and I was 21 from a head injury. He had fallen off his prophy regimen, had nothing in his system, went to bed, didn't wake up. And that happened 4.5 weeks before I graduated, 3 weeks before my last show in college, 6 weeks before I was supposed to start at the Williamstown Theater Festival, which I did. And I had enough momentum from those things and my actor showcase and some early opportunities with alumni of my program, blah, blah, to give me some momentum into the start of my professional career. But, putting on some stupid costume for a Walmart commercial, I can't, you want me to just reserve my entire life for this? Get out of here. So meanwhile, I was trying to understand what had happened to my brother, paying a lot of attention to what was and more importantly was not happening in the world of hemophilia education and engagement opportunities particularly for young people outside the camp setting. And I was really unimpressed. I was actually talking to somebody about this not long ago, and I got angry in a way I haven't been angry in a long time. But when I saw just how little was done to make young people, like my brother, connect with their rare disease in an era where medicine made it too easy to forget that, hey, you do have a life-threatening rare disease, by the way, it made me angry when I realized, he didn't have a shot. He didn't have a shot. We told him he was normal, and he didn't have an inhibitor. He didn't want to play sports. He got infused every other day. We didn't set this guy up for success. I felt passionately about using entertainment as a primary vehicle for change in hemophilia and starting with young people. I was never interested. I've never applied to be an executive director. It's great. I mean, we need them, not me. I've never applied to work for pharma or a specialty pharmacy. None of that was of any interest to me. It remains not of interest to me. I am interested in creating the disruptive, innovative, boundary-pushing, interesting ways that humans respond to that lead to engagement, education, and empowerment.
I reached out to you about directing and creating Bombardier Blood in the documentary about Everest. Was seeing you being passionate about something in a very different field than I was in, but a person with hemophilia that was ambitious and chasing big dreams and wanting to make big changes and have an impact. Both of us are chasing very different, like Everest, right? Mine was a literal one. Yours is a more, metaphorical, spiritual kind of mountain.
The idea when we started was, I think this could be the most powerful and impactful agency operating in rare disease in the world. And I still believe that's true. And I think we're getting closer to realizing that extremely ambitious vision from once upon a time that's carried us a long way, but we're not there yet. And I think we can still get there. And, in short, my co-founder, Ryan Gielen, and I, along with Amy Board, Rob Bradford, and Josh Bregg, our leadership team, are making active moves to aggressively pursue that vision and turn it into reality. So that's on the Believe Limited side. I think what we do matters tremendously. And I think as rare disease continues to see more and more treatments available for more and more patient populations here in the United States and around the world, across all diagnoses, across all genders, I think the need to work with an organization like mine that knows how to interact with patient communities, that can speak pharma, that can speak science, that can speak advocacy, that can speak policy, that can speak content. Look, there's a lot of agencies. There's none like us.
If you could give any piece of advice to somebody with a bleeding disorder that has a truly ambitious outside-the-box goal, I guess it doesn't even have to be outside the box, but maybe people would typically not think a person with a bleeding disorder could do that, or that would be extremely difficult, What would you tell them about overcoming challenges and reaching outstanding heights?
Be as honest with yourself as humanly possible, regardless of what you say to anybody else, what you want to project into the world, what you may or may not share in therapy or with a partner or with a parent or with a friend. Be as honest as possible with yourself. Then do the thing no one else can tell you to do. Money will come and go. Champions and supporters will come and go. Recognition for what you've done will come and go. Everything will come and go. But I'm always going to be with me. I wake up with me. I go to bed with me. I'm never not with me. Doctors are going to say something. My mom's going to say something. My wife's going to say something. My friends are going to say something. My colleagues are going to say something. Some health advocate's going to say something. But at the end of the day, this is my life. And I need to take all that information into account. But then I need to be as honest with myself as possible. I need to listen to that little voice inside me that I do not control and that nobody else put there. That just is there.
If you have a dream, definitely go with it. Don't disappoint. Don't think you have a hemophilia. Hemophilia is just like a bleeding disorder. I have seen patients like sickle cell. It's a really big disease. Struggle for it and keep yourself fit. Do exercise. Exercise is very important to keep you in that shape and size so that you can mentally and physically fit. So I'll say don't leave your dream. Just go for it. You'll definitely get what you want to achieve in your life.
Find other people who not only have hemophilia, but who have maybe other health challenges that you can relate to and have been an achiever somewhere that you're interested in. Because what I have found in my career is other people with rare diseases, hemophilia or otherwise, who are high achievers, particularly ambitious, trying to do something that no one else has done before. Those people are extremely interested in meeting other people who have faced outsized challenges, trying similar wherever in the world they're trying their ambitious similar things. So I guess another piece of advice, so to speak, would be reach out. There's no harm in reaching out. If Chris hadn't reached out to me, who knows? Who knows? And I think about those moments of reach outs, those first conversations, that first am I gonna bother this guy with this thing? Yeah, bother that guy with that thing. The worst that can happen is it goes nowhere, which is guaranteed to happen if you don't. So don't be afraid to reach out.
I always had moments on the climbs where my big brain was having doubt. My big brain was saying, what the hell are you doing up here? But there was always a little voice in my head saying, you can take another step. You can take another 5 steps. Just make a step. It doesn't matter if it's the most successful step you've ever made, but you just got to take a lot of steps usually to get to that. I think that's one thing that we're really good at in our community is being ambitious, being resilient, being stubborn, and making a difference.
I'm happy I'm getting work from my industry also, like from hemophilia. I made the short film for hemophilia, which is on YouTube, Wings to Fly, and I'm grateful to my Mumbai chapter who helped me to sponsor this. The link is on YouTube, and now I'm doing for doctors who treat me in my childhood. I'm working with them, and I'm shooting with them. So it's a really drastical change in my life, treating and shooting with them.
When we made the documentary, and I shared my story of climbing the 7 summits, it was scary. What I didn't expect was how many people I've gotten to connect with in deep and personal ways. When you open yourself up, the fear is that it might let criticism in. But in reality, it also opens the door to other people to let them share their own story. In the best times, it feels like my story has helped others, and maybe even transformed lives. At least I hope so. Some of the best connections I've had were from parents who've had more hope for their children with bleeding disorders. I can't imagine the fear of having a child with a chronic medical condition, and I'm glad my story could provide some comfort and support. I've also really loved connecting with young men after they've seen the documentary. Even though it's a tiny part of the movie, when I share more stories about my struggle with anxiety and depression because of my bleeding disorder, that seems to connect with a lot of folks. Some people have said it's the first time they talk to someone about their struggles as well. I'm so happy that they were able to talk about it and hopefully take steps to get help. At the end of the day, when you share your journey, it becomes more than a story. It becomes an invitation to others, an invitation to communicate, to open yourself up, and to see the world in a new light. On next week's episode, we're talking about that voice in all our heads that keeps asking, why me? And how that can turn into, why not me? I'm Chris Bombardier. Until next time, keep climbing your own mountain.
The Final Summit is produced by BloodStream Media. Learn more at bloodstreammedia.com. This episode is hosted by Chris Bombardier, written by Dru Johnston, edited by Greg Bernard, produced by Keith Corneluk, executive produced by Patrick James Lynch. The Final Summit was also made possible by support from Genentech. Visit genentechhemophilia.com to take a look at how they are supporting the hemophilia community.